You've heard amazing stories that involve such great moments of transformation, of really being there. This is the work of federation. From cradle to grave, from baby to booby, we cover every stage of life and span the globe. And you have the opportunity to be a part of this story. So allow me to share another story told by Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, 19th century professor and Torah scholar. When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town. I couldn't change the town, and as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly I realized that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family. My family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I could indeed have changed the world. We build ourselves, we build our homes, we build our community, and we build our world. That is Young Leadership Cabinet, taking bold steps to invest in your leadership so that you can be the catalyst for change in the world. And that is what this retreat is all about. So we start with you this week, working on cultivating your inner self, leadership presence, collaborative visioning, leader as designer, discovering your philanthropic self. The content that you are receiving this week has never been delivered before at a Young Leadership Cabinet retreat. We start with you because your inner game runs your outer game. And then we want you to take all that you have learned here, and we want you to bring it home. Woo. So, how do we do this? How do we bring it home? I'm going to give you a simple formula. First step is inviting other people to join. For 20 years, I've been asking young leadership groups how they got to their first event and then how they got to be an insider at Federation. So tell me, why do most young people go to their first Federation event?
Jewish moms.
Jewish moms. Great answer. What else? They get invited. Why else? To meet somebody, a great speaker, a business event, to hook up, whatever it is. This is why they go to their first Federation event, right? They evaluate the event and see what's in it for me, and then they decide to go to the event. So then, all of a sudden, they're on the inside of the Federation. They're on the board. They're on the executive committee. So I'm wondering what happened that made them go from a consumer of Federation events to someone who's now on the inside. If we understand that, won't we understand the breakthrough of outreach and engagement, what it's all about? And I found over the years that there were two primary reasons why people went from the outside to the inside. Who can tell me? This is interactive. Who can tell me? Okay, belonging, what else? They were inspired. Excellent. So the first reason is that they felt the Federation product for the first time. They were touched in some way, or someone in their family was touched or moved, so they felt the product. And the second reason why they got it on the inside, more than any other reason, is because someone they cared about or respected asked them to. That's it. They said, we need you. We need your creative capital. We need your talent. Come with me. That's how people get on the inside. Because people they care about and respect ask them to join. That's your job, to figure out how to get people to join, to take them, to see their talents, to see their gifts, and let them know how they can use those gifts to help others. How else do you bring it home? Tell the story. Facts and figures are important, but nothing is as compelling as the story of one. To tell the story of how one person has been transformed and then share how that story captures the essence of Federation. You have a bucket full of stories just from this session. And here's the deal with Federation. It's great. There's no copyright issues. Their stories are your stories. They are now your stories. Tell the story. The famous Hollywood producer and CEO, Peter Guber, says that if PowerPoint is the state-of-the-art technology, that stories are the state-of-the-heart technology. They provide emotional transportation for people, moving them towards your cause because they can psychologically identify with your narrative. Tell the story. This is such a magnificent story to tell. And then finally, how do you bring it home? By making the ask. Making the ask for people to join and making the ask for people to give. We have got to change the tape in our head about what asking is. That in some way asking people for gifts is pushing them away, when it really is about bringing people closer. Fundraising is an art. You all ask people to do things all of the time. This is the same, but we've got to change the story we have about fundraising. We've also got to change the way that we show up. I told this to class 2 today, that when I teach fundraising seminars now, the way I begin is I walk into a room and I say, ladies and gentlemen, fundraising is all in the shoulders. And they're like, what? Okay, so I demonstrate. It's more effective when I had long hair. Here's how we go. Here's how most people are raising money. Ready? Did you see it? I just want to thank you so much for giving, and you've been so generous in the past, and we're hoping that you'll consider a gift. And I literally have seen people like, okay? What does this communicate? Tell me. Call it out. Fear, apologizing, what else? Hesitation, right? Like in some way you, donor, have what to give and I have what to take or what to lose. I'm speaking from a spirit of apology, that we have to talk about money, right? Right here. It's right here. And what I'm telling people is enough with the shoulders. Here it is. I'm standing in front of an incredible product that has a huge return on investment. And I want to invite you to get in the game. Be a part of this. Have a seat at the table. Asking with pride. That's what this is about, right? Fundraising is such a fascinating process. It is mental. It is physical. It is emotional. And it is spiritual. Our tradition has so much to say about this. We spend all of our time talking about how Judaism talks about giving tzedakah. When do you give? How much do you give? Does the donor know the recipient? Does the recipient know the donor? Right? Anyone know the highest level of Jewish giving? What is the highest level of Jewish giving? Everyone says anonymous. It's actually number 2. But I love that you answered that because it's actually really important. But let me tell you number 1. The highest level, according to Maimonides, of Jewish giving, right, is the concept of teaching someone how to fish. Not giving them the fish, teaching them how to fish. Enabling them, empowering them. Everything that you heard, this space program, is exactly that. Providing people with tools and resources to live a dignified life and a more successful life. That is federation. But guess what? Judaism also has what to say about asking. Asking is a profoundly Jewish concept. Do you know that hundreds of years ago, when our Jewish communities were set up in shtetls all over Eastern Europe, the way that we collected charity is we elected the Gabbai Tzedakah, the collectors of charity, were elected into positions, and they went from shtetl to shtetl collecting people's Jewish tax. And they collected this tax, and it went into a pot. I mean, I'm thinking like cauldron, like an actual pot, right? And these Gabbai Tzedakah, these lay leaders, counted up those dollars and then distributed them to the families and the agencies that needed them. Does this pot sound familiar? Yes, this is This is federation. Oh, it all works, get it? Okay, so it all works, right? That is the federation system, but here's the difference. In order to be a Gabbai Tzedakah, you had to work your way up in the community to deserve the honor and the distinction of being the collector of charity. Now anyone who shows up and has a pulse is allowed to do it? No. We have got to shift the mentality and bring back the privilege and the honor to ask. And if you remember nothing else, this is what I want you to remember. From the Shulchan Aruch, a code of Jewish law, which essentially says if a person convinces another person to give, then their reward is greater than when they give on their own. Right? That's your ammunition. What does that mean? If I give a gift, great. If I ask Jeff Rum for a gift, I get 2 points. He gets 1. Jeff Rum, why do I get double? I'll tell you. I get double. Really? You're thinking, I know, he's reflective, right? I'll tell you why. Because if I had not asked Jeff, he wouldn't have given. Whether he didn't know about it or he was involved in other things, I have given Jeff the opportunity to perform the mitzvah of tzedakah. Really, the only thing that should happen when I ask Jeff for a gift is Jeff should thank me for asking. He should thank me. That does not mean that I walk into every solicitation and say, you need to thank me, right? But that's how I show up. I don't show up apologizing. I show up with an offer for someone to change the world, okay? So inviting people to join, telling the story, making the ask, that is what Bringing It Home is all about, and this week is going to teach you how to do all of that. How do we do it? Let's break it down. How do we actually do this? First of all, you want to become product experts. You want to really understand what federation is all about. So there's so much to learn and so much to read, and there's great experiences you can have, like going to the Cabinet Shabbaton, like how I got that, going to the General Assembly, going on the Cabinet study mission, right? Those are great big gestures you can make. And guess what else you can do? You can go 5 minutes away from your home and your community to any local agency. Go to a JCC, go to a day school, sit in the hallway for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, and I promise you, you will have your story. Know the product. And the great thing about representing this product is it's almost impossible for people to say something they care about that we don't do, because we do so much. My first job out of college was in UJA university programs, just like David was talking about earlier. And we had a national leadership conference every year. And we played this game called Grill the Trainer, which was so fun for them and very stressful for me. So basically, college students got to yell out anything they cared about in the world, and I had to tell them how we did it. The game became much easier once I could buy myself a lifeline of 24 hours, but essentially, I always won. Whatever people cared about, whatever their values were, we did it in some way because our product is so expansive, right? And so enormous. And once you start really getting your head around your product, you can be such a better storyteller and such a better fundraiser because you're confident in your offer. Another story. By far, the most challenging solicitation I've ever been in and the most rewarding. Some of you have heard this story before. A few years ago in Washington, D.C., I had the opportunity to meet with someone who just moved to our community. We're going to call him Lee. Lee and I met at a Starbucks, and of course, I started asking him, what compelled you to meet with me today? It's not that he had nothing better to do. There's definitely a story there. If he's new to the community, he's deciding to meet with me. So we're talking about it, we're talking. And then I open up the campaign conversation with my big, open-ended, powerful question, which is, so Lee, what's your thing? That's my big question. Because I don't put on my solicitor cape and get into, so tell me about what motivates your philanthropy. Like, I'm just me. I just ask the question, what's your thing? And he looked at me And he said, my thing is the rescue of Irish setters. And I said, oh my God, what's an Irish setter? And I'm freaking. I'm going through the card catalog, stray dogs in Israel, dogs to the blind, dogs to the, I mean, I am just going, trying to figure out how we support Irish setters, right? And I'm thinking, I'm out. I've been talking this big game for 20 years. You tell me what you care about. I'll tell you how we do it. I'm out. I'm done. I got nothing. Now, this panic attack is all happening in 5 seconds, but it's real panic. So I stop, I take a deep breath, and I think, okay, if I know nothing else about this person, what do I know about him? He likes dogs. What else do I know?
He chose to be at the meeting.
He chose to be at the meeting. Anything else I know about this person? What word did he use? Rescue. Shazam. He threw me a bone. Sorry. Okay, rescue. You want to talk to me about Federation and rescue? Fasten your seatbelt. I hope you've got a week, because I can go big. I can go community. I can go back to the 80s. I mean, I can go big, or I can go one by one. Sophia at her home, senior transportation, JCC, Mahjong, hot kosher meal. I mean, you got to put a muzzle on me. Oh my God, get it? I really never thought of that before. Okay, so here we are, a door seemingly shut. So of course I start with, wow, I've actually never heard that before. Tell me more about that. Like, why Irish setters, rescue, what's up with that? And he's revealing this story that seems so over there when it's so clear that his values are so aligned with the work that we do at Federation. So once you really know your product and the values that drive the product, you can basically ask anyone. It doesn't mean that they're always going to say yes, but I promise you, it will be an important conversation. Next thing, show up and listen. Outside of food and shelter, human beings' greatest desires are to be loved and heard. We can do that. We can do that for people. We can hear people. Human beings are not numbers on pledge cards that either go up, stay flat, or go down. They're real people with interests and desires and complaints and issues. And when you are with someone, talking to them, cultivating them, connecting with them, they are not going to remember what you said. They're going to remember how they felt when they were with you. Were you warm? Were you a mensch? Were you passionate? Did you hear them? Did you play it back for them? That's how you do this work, by really showing up. And that is what will differentiate this organization from others. And finally, the last is step into productive discomfort. This is a term that I use in my coaching practice, productive discomfort. How do people feel just enough discomfort to move? It's actually a concept that comes from sports psychology, where sports psychology study the relationship between anxiety and performance. A basketball player comes out onto the court, and the fans are going wild, they're going crazy, and their performance increases until there's 1 second left on the clock, they're at the free throw line. If they can't contain that anxiety, they're going to choke, right? How do you find that sweet spot where stepping out of your comfort zone propels you to move forward? Propels you to move forward. So try something new. Get out there. Make the ask. Show up at a board meeting. Tell the story of your week at cabinet retreat. Do something that makes you the slightest bit uncomfortable, because that's leadership, and that's where you stretch, and that's where you grow, when you step into that productive discomfort. This is how we do it. The last thing I'll say is, do not forget to reconnect to the holiness of all of this. There is an old Jewish tradition that is about seeking meaning in the mundane. And Jews over the years have tried to seek meaning in numbers. It's something called gematria, which is placing a numeric value, right, to every number to try and find more meaning. meaning. So for example, the number 18. What does the number 18 mean? Life. It's chai, right? So the chet is 8 and the yud is 10, making 18, which means chai. It is a Jewish tradition that people give tzedakah, give charity, in increments of chai. Why? Because it's life-affirming, because it makes you feel alive, and because it creates continuity. It's not just a random number. Numbers have significance. And you heard today that we are approaching a very significant number in the Young Leadership Cabinet. 55. Now, it would be easy to say, wow, 55, what a great run it's been, or wow, that's a long time, look at how much we've accomplished. But I was getting curious about what 55 actually means. There's lots of concepts in Judaism that line up to 55, but here's the one that I want to share with you. It is the word lecha. The word lecha, which essentially is a word that means let's go, shall we go. It's in the commandment form of let's go, let's move toward. One of the things you'll probably recognize is from the prayer Lecha Dodi that we say on Kabbalat Shabbat on Friday nights. Lecha Dodi likrat kala panei Shabbat nekabbalah, right? Let's go, my beloved, and let's greet the presence of Shabbat. This word lecha is not found in common Hebrew. It's found in poetic Hebrew. And the idea is like lecha, to go, is about moving with intention, moving into action. When you leave retreat this week, you are not going away. You are moving toward. Right? You are moving toward building a Jewish community. You are moving towards transforming Jewish life. You are creating the opening lines to all these stories that have not yet even been created. So I want you to think about that, the lecha. What are you moving towards? What are you stretching for? And together, the Young Leadership Cabinet can collectively move forward. Let's go, lecha, let's do it. Thank you.
Please welcome National Young Leader Cabinet Education and Leadership Development Co-Chairs, Becca Tobe